And our first topic today on this glorious Friday comes to us from Aaron G., who writes, "Hey, John. I've been getting pretty excited for Birds of Prey since the reviews have been glowing. I know you mentioned you were going to go see it tonight. This, of course, came in last night. So I wanted to hear your review of it. Thanks, and bring on the filthy." All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, I went to go see Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, or also known as The Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Went to go see it last night. Aaron, you saw it too.
I did see it, yes.
So we'll get to your thoughts there in just a second. Listen, full disclosure. This is one of the DC movies that I've been like, I don't know what you're making this for. I didn't really like the idea of it at first in concept. I wasn't really thrilled with the trailers. Now, that's fine. There have been lots of movies that the concept didn't look good to me and I didn't like the trailers, and I ended up loving the movie, so that's great. But then the reviews started coming out. The social media embargo lifted. It was great. Then the review embargo lifted. I think it's sitting at a really respectable 88% right now, which is great. So you guys who've watched the show have seen my enthusiasm getting higher and higher. And I love Margot Robbie and I love Ewan McGregor. So it's like, okay, let's go see what this is about. Didn't like it. I didn't like it. Now, let me be clear here. I did not hate it. I'm not sitting here saying Harley Quinn is a terrible movie. No, it's not. It's not terrible. But here's the funny thing. This is how I described it coming out. I said it's a very odd situation for me. In that normally when you don't like a movie, there will be some things you like and a bunch of things you don't like, and the things you don't like outweigh the things you like, right? For me, it's a very, very weird experience. There are a lot of individual elements of this movie that I really did quite like. For instance, Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. I mean, she owns that role.
Totally.
And when she's just on screen doing her thing, I'm like, I like it.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor was fabulous. I really I got into Ewan McGregor's, it was a little bit of a different take than I was expecting.
And both of those were very campy, like it's a fine line. You got to be a good actor to be able to pull off either of those roles.
Yes, and both of them, thankfully, are very good actors. So I really liked what Ewan McGregor was doing. I liked the philosophy behind it of them just going, balls to the wall, just being really crazy and nuts with it, because I have a little bit fallen in love, not a little bit, I have massively fallen in love with the Harley Quinn animated show.
Right, you've talked about it.
And I heard from a lot of people saying that the movie really does take a page from the Harley Quinn animated show. I'm like, all right. They definitely went R with it, and there are a number of, and the basic concept of it, I found myself buying into. Here's why this situation is strange for me, because normally when you add up that many things that I like individually, it means I enjoyed the movie. But there was just something about the way all these pieces of the puzzle, these great pieces of the puzzle, did not quite fit together well. And for whatever reason, the movie as a whole left me feeling a little bit empty. And it's one of the situations, often you'll hear the sum was greater than, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. This was the opposite for me. It was the whole was actually lesser than the sum of its parts. And again, I'm accustomed to coming out of a movie that I didn't like and going, wow, there's all these individual things I didn't like. Yeah. And there's not a ton of individual things. There's definitely a few things we will talk about. But it's just that the way they all came together for me, it felt flat, it felt empty, and it just didn't click. Again, let me be clear, not a terrible movie. And if I could flash back about 3 months to how bad I thought this movie was going to be, it's certainly better than what I was expecting. It's certainly not as good as I was expecting after all the great reviews, but certainly better than I was expecting 3 months ago. And like I said, I think I can see why a lot of people are going to enjoy this and like it, but to me, it was just all the pieces were there, just not well put together. I think that's kind of ultimately how I felt about it, because, for instance, Huntress, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who can do no wrong in my books.
Right.
Oh my God, I love that girl.
Yeah.
She can do no wrong in my books. She doesn't even, aside from the odd peak, she doesn't really get introduced in the film till the third act of the film.
Right. Very underused.
Yeah, and I don't want to give. I'm not going to give anything away, but It's like there's that, and then why does she suddenly feel this about that character, and why? I mean, I don't know. It just felt like, again, the concept was there. The individual pieces were there. They had some great ideas, and I feel the same way about this movie that I felt about the first Underworld.
Okay.
With Kate Beckinsale. Mm-hmm. All the pieces were there, so many cool things in it, but I just didn't like it. But because all the cool pieces are there, if they do a sequel, I'm down. Like, I didn't like this movie, but I'm down for a sequel because I got to imagine with all those pieces of the puzzle there, they can do something better next time, So anyway, that's kind of my impression of, again, I don't want to give any, I'm not going to give any spoilers away here, but that was kind of my feelings on Birds of Prey. You actually had a chance to see Birds of Prey 4 hours before me. You and Tom went to go see it, a 6 o'clock show last night.
When you said that you were going to see it and we had the evening free and I knew that I was going to come in today, I didn't want to be like, oh my God, I needed to be on top of this as well. So, yes, we went to see it at the ArcLight last night at 6 o'clock. I know when you said I'm going to see it, I was like, Todd, I'm going to bed. I don't think that you sleep. I really don't think that John Campea sleeps. So it's interesting because, going into this, I had all the high hopes.
You were so excited for this movie.
So excited. I was like, Margot Robbie can do no wrong. This movie is going to be hype. I'm so pumped. And I think that she really hit the nail on the head because I agree. It's there were all of the elements, and I went in ready to be the biggest fan. And as I was watching it, I was like, I'm not disliking it, and it held my attention, but I wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought I was. And I remember sitting in the movie going, I should have a huge gross grin on my face right now.
A Joker-like grin on your face?
A Joker-like grin on my face. I should literally just have my ears burning because I'm smiling so much and I'm so jazzed out of my seat. And I didn't feel that until, not to give any spoilers, until the big culmination.
Right.
But I also have to, so yes, I felt like at the beginning it was a bit discombobulated, in which we're not really sure, like you said, why this character all of a sudden is just. There were certain major leaps that the audience has to take to believe, oh, now this is a realistic relationship. Oh, now they're just going to throw away this entire perspective and jump on board with this entire perspective. It was very discombobulated, but I also look at, they're introducing an entirely new world. And taking it from the perspective of someone who does not know anything about Birds of Prey, who has never met Black Canary, who has never met certain characters that are being introduced, and having to learn about, okay, well, what is her backstory and what does she come from, and there was a lot going on here. I almost feel like maybe too much was going on of trying to introduce too many characters and create too much of a situation that for one film. But I agree, I am interested in a second one. But interestingly enough, I kind of felt the same way in a weird sense about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I watched the movie and I was like, I'm into it. I'm not really that jazzed. I'm kind of going along. I'm interested, but I'm not feeling anything. And then all of a sudden I was like, there's Quentin Tarantino. There's what I want. That's what I came for. And I felt the same way about this movie. When everything happens, and you know what I'm talking about, I was like, oh, here I am. And then there was my crazy Joker smile. I loved, can I say the cocaine bit? I won't say anything else. Sorry. Okay. I'm teetering on that.
Oh, you're not going to explain. You can just say the words the cocaine bit.
Yeah,
without giving away what happened.
As soon as that happened, I was like, oh, here we go. And I wasn't wrong. I thought the fight scenes were phenomenal. I actually stayed and watched the entire credits because I wanted to just see who all was involved. 4 stunt coordinators. The list of stunt people is like this long. The list of visual effects people from all over the world. I mean, you really see how much work went into this movie. The acting, Janae Smollett-Bell was phenomenal. I thought that she brought a beautiful level of emotion, and
it almost felt out of place, to be honest. Because you're right. I agree with your assessment of her performance. And it almost felt out of place.
See,
because she was doing something that nobody else in the movie was doing.
But I don't have a problem with that. I like the fact that then we know, oh, that's what she does.
Right.
You know, like, because in a similar way, Mary Elizabeth Winstead also had had the opposite thing going on,
Yes,
where
she did.
was so disconnected,
Yeah.
so completely disconnected, which worked for her character. But I also, you know, and this is the thing that I'll end on, is there was a term that I first read after Wonder Woman, after Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman came out, and it was referring to the male gaze, which is the lens through which a male director directs women, actresses, and it removes a certain level of the sexuality out of these action figures. You know, usually when we have badass female action figures, they're also sexy, badass action. You know, there's a thing that I didn't see in Wonder Woman, and I didn't see it in Birds of Prey. Not saying that these women don't look insanely sexy and beautiful and gorgeous and show lots of skin and all that, but it's a different thing, and it's hard to put my finger on it. The only way that I can describe it is that term that I heard after Wonder Woman, which is the difference of being seen not through the male gaze. And I would love to hear what other people say about that. I saw it, like I said, through Patty Jenkins, and same thing with Kathy Yan directing this, is being able to see just badass women being badass and beautiful and sexy, but not through a male gaze. That was just an interesting way of seeing, you know, these horrifyingly violent and very exciting fight scenes with women. I thought they did a great job, and I agree with you. I'm ready to see a sequel.
One thing that really bothered me too was, like, I'm going to be very cautious because this won't give anything away. At the end of every movie, every character's part in that movie is concluded. By the time the movie ended, every character's part. The conclusion of the two main villains was very anticlimactic for both of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying what happened to them, because every character has their part of the movie comes to an end at some point in the movie, and the conclusion of both of the villains in it I found very anticlimactic.
Yeah, I would have liked a little slow motion on some of that stuff.
I would have liked to have seen just a lot more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was a problem with me.
It was like slow, rush.
Yeah, and then in the midst of a rush, an anticlimactic. It was odd. So again, a lot of individual things to like about this movie.
Chris Messina was phenomenal.
Who?
He was the guy with all the cuts all over him.
Zaz. Yeah, it's Victor Zaz. Yeah. He was great. Victor Zaz was really cool.
Oh, I need to look him up, because
his interaction with Ewan McGregor was great in the movie. Another element that I really liked, but just for some reason the pieces of the puzzle did not fit together for me. So listen, it's a movie that I think a lot of people are going to like, and maybe some of you guys saw it and you did like it, and that's awesome. I think obviously huge critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which is great. It just, with all the excitement I started to build up for it, it didn't live up to it for me. How did you guys feel about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right.